Hi. I'm going to talk about two instances where someone asked Jesus to heal someone in their household. The first one is going to be in Mark chapter 5, and it's kind of lengthy. I'm going to skip over some of it because that's for another time. Uh, in Mark chapter 5 and verse 21, says, "And when Jesus was passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea." Means he's still close to the water. "And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name," or Jairus. "And when he saw him, he fell at his feet, and besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him." Now, right in here, it talks about the woman with the issue of blood interrupted him, and he healed her. And said, "While he yet spake," talking to the woman that he healed, "there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter and James and John, the brother of James. And he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeth the tumult, and them that wept and wailed greatly. And when he was come in, he saith unto them, Why make you this ado, and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But when he had put them all out, he taketh the father and the mother of the damsel, and them that were with him, Peter, James, and John, and entered in where the damsel was lying. And he took the damsel by her hand, and said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is, being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was the age of 12 years, and they were astonished with a great astonishment. And he charged them straitly that no man should know it, and commanded that something should be given her to eat. Now, these things that I'm going to be reading about today has a point in a different way of things happening when somebody came and asked him. And then when I get done with that, I'm going to tell you another point about this thing right here. And that was the one where the ruler of the synagogue. But this is in Matthew chapter 8, starting in verse 5. "And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion beseeching him." Now, a centurion was a Roman soldier, not a Jew, and saying, "Lord, my servant lieth at home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented." And Jesus saith unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, Goeth, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into utter darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus saith unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. Now, there's two things here. Number one, again, this man was not a Jew, the centurion, but he recognized that if Jesus wanted somebody healed, they got healed. And he also knew that Jesus didn't have to lay hands on them. All he had to do is speak the word, and it was done. And he knew that, and it happened that way. And it happens that way now. Jesus doesn't have to be here on earth to heal someone. All he has to do is speak the word. Now, there's ways of healing that we don't truly understand. Like if you have a real bad illness and everybody's praying for you and you go ahead and die, you need to understand something. That can be your healing right there. Just going straight to heaven, not suffering anymore. That can be your healing. And oftentimes it is. Don't be mad at God if that happens. Be happy that they went to heaven. I'm jealous. You know what I mean? I'd love to be in heaven right now. The only reason I don't insist on it per se is because I like being with my family. And I don't mean just blood kin. I'm talking about like church family. And, you know, Beth's not my blood kin, but she's certainly my family. And we need to understand why Jesus said, I haven't seen so great faith, no, not in Israel. That ruler of the synagogue, he insisted that Jesus come lay his hands on his daughter. He didn't have to. The centurion knew it, but that ruler of the synagogue didn't. Now, there's another point about this. That ruler of the synagogue waited for Jesus to come back across the sea so he could go grab him and have him come over to his house. Now, what that says to me is Jesus was what he considered to be his last chance. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you may not understand, but Jesus should be our first chance, our first choice. We need to pray to Jesus for a healing, not wait until it seems like it's too late, like that ruler of the synagogue did. That should be our first thing we do, is pray and ask Jesus for a healing. Many times we don't do that. We go, well, let's go to the doctor. And I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. I'm not going to tell you like some denominations do, that it's against the law to go to a doctor. It's against the law to get a blood transfusion, all that stuff. I don't believe that. And it's just like in the Old Testament when the snakes were biting people, and they put up a pole, and if they looked at the pole, they got healed. Well, that pole had symbols on it, and if you look at a doctor's uniform in the military, it's got that same symbol on their collar. It looks like a pole with a snake and angel wings. That's what it looks like to me. And so there's nothing wrong with doctors. Don't get that in your head, because it's not what I believe, and it's not what's true. But the first thing we need to do is pray. And if Jesus tells you to go to a doctor, go to a doctor by all means. He has given people wisdom about things that we don't get, because we're not supposed to get it. There's a lot of times I have prayed to get answers to things, and God gives me the answers in the middle of the night. I was talking about this in church just the other day. I got a deal one time. I'm not a house painter, certainly not an artist, but God gave me something to go get because all I was going to do is help. You see that up there at the top of the wall where it meets the ceiling? God told me about this thing. You go over and it's got these two little bitty wheels on it, and it's got a sponge on it, and you dip that in the paint, and you just roll that across there, and it'll get the top part of the wall. So you don't, when you paint the wall, you don't get stuff up on the ceiling and stuff that shouldn't be there. And I went to a lumber yard and asked about that, and the guy looked at me like I was goofy. He said, never heard of such. But if we had something, it'd be right over here. How did you know about this? I told him God told me. He kind of looked at me funny, and he asked this guy that was working at the counter, he said, when did we get these in? He said, oh, the other day. Then he really looked at me funny. There was another incident, and I'm not bragging on me, because I don't know, come here from Sikkim about stuff like that. But God does, and it was at a RV park, and we had a 30 amp trailer, and anyway, I told the guy that ran the RV park, I said, I can go down to the lumber yard and get an adapter for that 50 amp and turn it down to a 30, and then I'll turn the 30 down to a 15, and then I can plug regular stuff in. And he said, Johnny, I'm a licensed electrician. There's no such thing. I said, okay. So we went down to Lowe's. I'm not bragging on them, but that's just where we went. And I told the guy down there what I wanted, and he said, we don't have any such thing, but if we did, it'd be right there. How did you know about this? So God told me. He looked at me pretty funny. And I went back and I showed the man that ran the RV park, and he said, never heard of such a thing. I said, I didn't either till last night, but God told me, and I believe him over me or anybody else. So God will tell you things, and he tells doctors things. So don't be afraid to go to a doctor. They don't always give you what you want. God doesn't always give you what you want. But God will give you what is best. Keep that in mind always. I love y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye.